Welcome to this deep dive. Look, if you own a construction business, you already know that your profit margins are, well, they're just constantly under siege right now.
Oh, absolutely. It's relentless.
It is. You are out there battling supply chain chaos, totally volatile material costs, and honestly, a regulatory environment that feels like it's actively trying to trip you up every single day.
Yeah, it really does feel that way on the ground.
Right. So today, our mission is to basically cut through all that endless industry noise and do just one thing. We are going to follow the money.
Always a good strategy.
Exactly. Specifically, we are tracking this massive $126 million that literally just poured into 6 different construction technology startups.
And that was all in a single, highly concentrated recent funding round, which is just wild.
It really is. So consider this deep dive your ultimate shortcut, right? We're extracting the absolute most critical insights about exactly where the smartest venture capital is going, the actual mechanisms behind these new technologies, and what this whole technological arms race means for the daily operations of your business.
Because, it is a staggering amount of capital for a single round.
Yeah.
And it sends a very clear, unavoidable signal to anyone who is, paying attention to the macroeconomic landscape.
Yeah, this isn't normal.
Not at all. We aren't looking at your typical Silicon Valley spray and pray investment strategy here. This is highly targeted surgical capital allocation, and it's aimed directly at the foundational cracks in the construction industry.
And that surgical targeting is really the hook for today's discussion, because this $126 million investment map, it is not random in the slightest.
No, it's incredibly deliberate.
Right. When you look closely at where every single dollar is landing, it maps perfectly to the exact agonizing pain points that you as contractors are dealing with every single day on the job site.
It's a one-to-one correlation.
It really is. And we know this because according to the Smart Business Automator Market Intelligence Report, there is a near perfect overlap between where venture capital is placing its multi-billion-dollar bets and a massive concurrent spike in contractor Google searches.
Which is such a fascinating metric to track.
It is. Okay, let's unpack this. Why is this massive influx of capital happening right now? Are these elite venture capitalists basically just reading the frantic late-night search history of frustrated project managers?
Well, in a very real sense, yeah, they kind of are. Venture capital fundamentally operates by identifying massive friction. Mm-hmm. And the construction industry currently has friction points that are, they're threatening the viability of entire companies.
Yeah, existential threats.
Exactly. So let's look at the safety sector first.
Sure.
Because a massive chunk of that $126 million landed right there. The urgency is just palpable right now.
It really is.
Safety in construction is no longer viewed simply as, a frustrating cost center or just some box to check for your insurance provider. It has completely evolved into a fundamental, non-negotiable survival requirement for your business.
And we are seeing that exact existential dread reflected in exactly what contractors are desperately looking for online. Search queries for safety management software spiked by 450% recently.
450%, that's a massive jump.
Huge. It's totally clear that business owners are just terrified of the liability they're carrying right now.
Well, and they should be. Honestly, to understand why this money is moving right now, we really have to look at the grim human and regulatory reality on the ground.
Yeah, the actual human cost.
Right. We had 3 workers under the age of 25 tragically killed in just the last 2 weeks alone.
Wow. That is just heartbreaking.
It is. That human cost is completely unacceptable, and the regulatory bodies are responding with unprecedented force. OSHA is fundamentally changing its entire operational playbook right now.
How so? What are they doing differently?
Well, they're rapidly shifting away from random luck-of-the-draw spot checks. Instead, they're moving toward highly targeted, heavily researched inspections.
Oh, wow. So they know exactly what they're looking for before they even show up?
Exactly. And when you add in the massive expansion of the recent silica crackdowns, where regulators are just aggressively policing crystalline silica dust exposure with astronomical fines, the operating environment is incredibly strict.
Right, but so how is the tech sector actually attempting to solve a physical boots on the ground problem like silica dust or, improper shoring? Because, an app on an iPad doesn't put a hard hat on a worker.
No, it doesn't. And this is where we move beyond basic apps and get into systemic artificial intelligence.
Okay.
Take Filed, for example. That's FYLD. They are a London-based company that just raised $41 million in the Series B round.
$41 million.
Right. And they aren't building a digital checklist. They're building AI safety monitoring that uses computer vision and reality capture.
So it's actually looking at the site.
Yes, it actively analyzes live job site footage to understand the physical environment in real time. And then you have Sincera out of Colorado. They just raised $27 million in their Series B.
Okay, who's backing them?
That round was led by 10 Atlantic Group alongside Aegis Capital and MUUS. And Sincera built what they call the Site Cloud platform.
Okay, wait, let me stop you there.
Sure.
Because the concept of a site cloud honestly sounds like marketing jargon. Like, what is the actual mechanism at play here? How does an AI interpret a messy, totally chaotic construction site?
It's a fair question. It relies on machine learning models that have literally been trained on millions of images of construction sites. It's learning the difference between a compliant environment and a dangerous one.
Ah, okay.
So SiteCloud takes the images uploaded from your job site cameras or your drones and runs them through this AI. The system doesn't just record an accident after it happens.
Right, that wouldn't be very helpful.
Exactly. It interprets the visual data to flag safety concerns long before they turn into actual injuries or fatalities or OSHA citations.
Wow.
Like, it can theoretically look at the angle of a trench wall and recognize that it lacks the required sloping or shoring before a worker ever even steps foot inside it.
See, that is a complete paradigm shift. We're talking about moving from a reactive safety culture where you bring in investigators to figure out why a scaffolding collapsed after someone gets rushed to the hospital.
Right, the traditional way.
Yeah, moving from that to a purely proactive safety culture. But I have to push back on the reality of implementing this on an actual job site.
Oh, don't care.
Well, with these AI systems constantly analyzing footage and flagging issues via job site cameras, doesn't this risk making the job site feel like a total surveillance state to the worker?
That is a very real concern.
I mean, if you are a highly skilled, 20-year veteran tradesperson, having an artificial intelligence constantly looking over your shoulder to see if your safety glasses slip down your nose, that could feel incredibly invasive.
Oh, without a doubt. That tension is a highly valid concern. The psychology of the job site is fragile, and leadership has to manage this rollout extremely carefully.
Yeah, you can't just spring this on a crew.
No, the successful implementation of this tech relies entirely on framing. You don't frame it as corporate surveillance. You frame it as an invisible safety net.
An invisible safety net. I like that phrasing.
Right. When a site manager clearly communicates that the AI isn't there to write people up or dock their pay, but to ensure everyone actually goes home to their families at the end of a grueling 12-hour shift, the reception completely changes.
That makes sense. It changes the whole vibe.
Exactly. It is about catching that improperly secured crane load, not just yelling at some kid for a missing high-vis vest. It's protection, not policing.
Protection, not policing. That's the key. Okay, so keeping your crew alive is obviously step one.
Always.
But, if your guys are perfectly safe and your bids are just bleeding money, the business still dies.
Very true.
Which brings us to the second massive bucket of this venture funding, which is financial risk management.
Precisely. Because the estimation process in the construction industry is just fundamentally broken right now.
It's a nightmare.
We are living through an era of extreme, totally unpredictable material price volatility. Relying on manual estimation where a guy basically sits in a trailer with a highlighter, a blueprint, and a static spreadsheet is effectively impossible.
Yeah, you just can't keep up.
You really can't. The prices of lumber, steel, and copper might dramatically change between the time you submit the bid and the time you actually win the project.
And that means every single bid right now feels like a high-stakes casino gamble.
Oh, it really does.
You bid based on Tuesday's lumber prices, you win the contract on Friday, and by Monday, your entire profit margin has literally been wiped out by a supply chain hiccup halfway across the world.
And you're just stuck holding the bag.
Exactly. Contractors are feeling that pain so acutely. I mean, online searches for construction estimating services near me are up 170%.
170%. Yeah, that's desperation.
Totally. So what is the mechanism being funded to actually fix this?
Well, the capital is flowing to companies like XBuild.
XBuild, okay.
Yeah, they are building a platform specifically tailored for vital trades like concrete, landscaping, painting, insulation, and HVAC.
The core trades.
Right? And they are utilizing a concept they call vibe coding to revolutionize the estimating process.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Because vibe coding honestly sounds entirely made up.
It does sound a bit out there.
It does. But the underlying concept is just wild. It is essentially like having a ChatGPT assistant that is exclusively designed for complex takeoffs.
That's a great way to describe it.
Right, because instead of manually measuring square footage and cross-referencing outdated vendor catalogs, you just use natural human language. You can literally describe the parameters of the job, saying, generate a bid for a 10,000 square foot commercial painting job using premium latex. And the AI instantly parses the intent, pulls real-time material and labor costs, and just generates the estimate.
That is the exact mechanism. And it bridges the massive gap between human thought and complex mathematical estimation.
It's crazy fast.
It is. Contractors are desperate for this level of speed and accuracy. In today's market, an inaccuracy in your estimate doesn't just mean you make a little less money.
No, it's much worse than that.
Right. It means you might lose the project entirely because you bid too high, or infinitely worse, you win the project but bankrupt your company because you bid too low and are locked into an underwater contract.
The ultimate nightmare.
Exactly. The venture capitalists funding these AI estimation tools know that business owners will eagerly pay for accuracy when inaccuracy is quite literally an existential threat.
Absolutely. Okay, so AI is keeping the workers physically safe, and it's keeping the bids financially competitive. But keeping the actual physical work moving on the site requires a totally different set of tools.
A completely different infrastructure, yeah.
Let's transition to the underlying financial and logistical infrastructure of the industry. Because while the smart buildings we construct are cutting edge, the way we actually pay for them and rent the equipment to build them is stuck in the dark ages.
It really is staggering when you look at it. We are talking about a $2 trillion global industry that is operating on a payments infrastructure that is solidly stuck in 1995.
1995. I mean, net 90 payment terms are still the industry standard, which is just mind-blowing.
Makes no sense.
And paper checks sent through the physical mail are still incredibly common. To me, the net 90 payment standard is like asking a business to run a marathon while holding its breath.
That is exactly what it feels like.
You do all the heavy lifting, you pay your workers out of your own pocket every single Friday, you float the cost of the materials, and then you just have to gasp for air for 3 agonizing months, praying the general contractor's check eventually clears so you don't miss payroll.
It's brutal.
That cash flow trap absolutely kills profitable companies.
It really does.
Right.
And that specific cash flow trap is exactly what a company called Payra is attacking right now.
Payra. How much did they raise?
They just raised $15 million in growth equity from Edison Partners.
Okay, solid round.
Yeah. And their entire mission is to drag B2B payments and accounts receivable into the modern era. They do this by integrating directly within a contractor's existing ERP systems.
Ah, so no standalone apps.
Exactly. They want to automate the verification of project milestones so that payments trigger instantly, effectively eliminating that 90-day waiting period entirely.
Wow, that would change everything for subs.
It really would. And when you look closely at the rental side of the business, it's a very similar story of outdated, brittle infrastructure holding everything back.
Yeah, the equipment rental market is an absolute beast. I mean, you can't build without iron.
No, you can't. It is a $50 billion industry. And what's fascinating here is that this $50 billion market still largely runs on fragmented phone calls, literal fax machines, messy whiteboards, and handshake agreements.
Fax machines. In this decade.
I know. Think about the logistics. If your project manager suddenly realizes they need a 40-foot scissor lift on a Tuesday morning because the schedule shifted, the process of finding one, securing it, and getting it delivered to the site is painfully manual and deeply inefficient.
Which totally explains why Moab just raised $16 million in a seed plus Series A round.
Yes, exactly.
This was a major play. It was led by Elad Gil's Gil Capital alongside Iron Spring Ventures.
Some very smart money there.
Definitely. Moab is setting out to build a modern operating system for the entire construction rental industry. They essentially want to be to construction rentals what Shopify is to e-commerce.
That's a huge ambition.
It is, creating a unified digital storefront where inventory is live, transparent, and instantly bookable. And we should also note that a company called Bricanta just raised an undisclosed round targeting those exact same operational bottlenecks in the equipment space.
There's a lot of momentum there. The broader macroeconomic theme here is just rapid modernization.
Yeah.
In fact, the Smart Business Automator Market Intelligence Report highlights how venture capital views modern modernizing these specific 1995-era categories as the single clearest path to building multi-billion-dollar companies.
They see the opportunity.
They look at construction and see an ocean of inefficiency that is absolutely ripe for disruption.
And the contractors on the ground are feeling that inefficiency intensely right now, especially when it comes to managing their subcontractors.
Oh, the subcontractor management piece is huge.
Look at the anxiety in the market. Subcontractor management software searches are up 300% right now.
Wow.
And subcontractor accounting software searches are also up 300%. Why the sudden panic around subcontractors?
Well, that massive spike is heavily driven by compliance anxiety and shifting legal liabilities.
Okay.
Yes, we are in the middle of tax season, which always drives accounting searches up.
Okay.
But more importantly, the National Labor Relations Board, the NLRB, has introduced new joint employer rules.
The joint employer rule. That's a big one.
It's massive. For anyone who hasn't been following this regulatory shift, it essentially means a general contractor could suddenly be held legally and financially responsible for the labor and compliance practices of their subcontractors.
Wait, really?
Yes, if your sub fails to pay overtime or violates a safety standard, the government can now potentially come after you, the GC.
That is terrifying for a general contractor.
General contractors are absolutely terrified of this transfer liability.
Yeah.
And they urgently need software to audit and manage their subcontractors just to protect themselves.
Okay, we have thoroughly established the venture capital investment thesis here.
I think we have.
The smart money is aggressively attacking safety, estimation, payments, equipment rentals, and subcontractor compliance. But let's bring this down to earth for you, the listener.
Right, the practical application.
You run a construction business. Understanding macroeconomic investment trends is intellectually interesting, sure, but how do you actually use this intelligence today without drowning in 50 different software subscriptions and just driving your team crazy?
That is the critical practical question.
Yeah.
Because the reality is, in 6 to 12 months, every single one of these newly funded companies, Filed, Sincera, XBuild, Moab, Para, they're going to be aggressively marketing to you.
Oh, yeah. The ads are coming.
Your inbox is going to be absolutely flooded with slick sales pitches promising to fix every aspect of your business. You need to understand what these specialized tools do right now before the pressure of that sales pitch arrives.
So what does this all mean? Look, buying a dozen separate, highly specialized VC-funded apps is basically like buying a bunch of individual mismatched hand tools when what you actually need to scale your business is a fully automated factory floor.
That's a really good analogy.
You don't want fragmented pieces of software that don't talk to each other. That just creates more admin work for your team trying to bridge the gap.
It totally defeats the purpose.
Right. Instead, you can evaluate these upcoming fragmented tools against the Smart Business Automator Market Intelligence Report platform, which already provides this comprehensive business intelligence natively, all in one place.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the goal of implementing construction technology isn't just to have a bunch of shiny new apps on your iPad.
No, nobody wants that.
The goal is leverage. It is to allow your project managers to handle significantly more project volume without drowning in administrative busywork.
Exactly.
It's about keeping your field teams turning wrenches and your office teams perfectly aligned with the financials. And that level of leverage fundamentally requires an all-in-one integrated platform, not a patchwork of point solutions.
Well, let's walk through what a truly integrated solution actually looks like in practice. Because a platform like Smart Business Automator tackles all of these friction points we've been discussing seamlessly.
It really does cover the whole life cycle.
Let's start with the nightmare of administration and documents. They offer Smart Document Organization, which automatically tags your photos, plans, and permits the exact second they are uploaded.
Which entirely eliminates the countless unbillable hours your team spends digging through nested digital folders trying to find, a specific site photo from 3 weeks ago.
Yes, that is the worst.
Furthermore, they feature document intelligence. This automatically extracts the crucial details straight from your dense project specs.
That's amazing.
And when you add in their compliance and spec checking features, you essentially have an AI constantly reviewing your plans against the local requirements. It catches gaps before they become very expensive, schedule-killing rework on the physical job site.
My absolute favorite part of this is the natural language smart search across all project data.
Oh, it's a game changer.
It is. You don't have to memorize convoluted file naming conventions anymore. You just ask the system a question using plain English, exactly like you would ask a human assistant.
Right.
And it instantly finds the exact structural spec or client email you need.
And moving from documents into actual project management, the platform automates the creation of daily log and meeting summaries.
Yeah.
It also provides deeply integrated RFI assistance.
Oh, let's pause on the RFI assistance.
Sure.
Because anyone who has run a commercial project knows that requests for information are where construction schedules go to die.
They're a black hole for time.
Total black hole. You spend hours digging through old emails and specs just to answer a simple question from an architect. Having an AI generate draft responses based on the entire historical context of the project isn't just a neat trick. It literally buys back hours of a project manager's week.
Absolutely. Plus, it handles automated report generation, so your stakeholders are always in the loop without you lifting a finger.
That's huge.
Then there is the financial and risk side, which connects directly back to those estimation and payment pain points we discussed earlier with XBuild and Para. The platform features schedule risk detection.
Okay, what does that do?
It identifies logistical bottlenecks early, before they cascade and delay the whole project. It gives leadership immediate budget and variance insights, and critically, it performs change order impact analysis.
Because we all know a change order is never just a simple swap of materials.
Never.
If a client changes a finish, it impacts the critical path of the schedule, it shifts the labor requirements, and it delays the cash flow. Having a system that instantly calculates that entire ripple effect across the project is a superpower. It stops you from accidentally agreeing to a change that completely tanks your margin.
Finally, on the operations side, you have an AI project assistant and custom AI workflows that can be precisely tailored to exactly how you run your unique business. And crucially, to solve the fragmentation issue we talked about, it offers robust API and system integration with your existing ERPs and accounting software. It breaks down the data silos.
Which means your team isn't doing manual, error-prone data entry across 5 different platforms. The intelligence just flows naturally from the bid to the field to the accounting department.
That's the dream.
It is, and this brings us to a critical realization. $126 million moving in a single funding round is a massive, flashing neon signal that construction tech is having its absolute watershed moment right now.
It really is.
The smart money is moving, the technology is rapidly maturing from concept to absolute necessity, and your competitors are paying very close attention. Which leaves you with something very important to ponder as we wrap up today's deep dive.
It ultimately boils down to a brutal question of adaptation versus obsolescence.
That is the reality. If AI-driven safety monitoring, instant natural language estimating, and rapid integrated B2B payments become the absolute baseline industry standard over the next 24 months, what happens to the contractors who stubbornly refuse to adapt?
They won't survive it.
Will clinging to manual project management, disconnected spreadsheets, and physical fax machines eventually make a company completely unbiddable because clients demand real-time data? Or worse, will the lack of AI safety monitoring make a company entirely uninsurable?
It's a stark, uncomfortable reality to consider. The baseline for what clients, regulatory bodies, and insurers expect from a modern contractor is rising incredibly fast, and those who ignore the shift will be left behind.
The margin for error has shrunk to 0. Please subscribe, rate, review, share, and visit smartbusinessautomator.com.